Okay, this video is going to be about workspaces in Vizrt T5, and workspaces are found in the very upper left of the Vizrt Artist interface. And workspaces were a concept introduced in Vizrt T4 and continued with in Vizrt T5, but it is not in Vizrt T3. And what workspaces are is if we come up into our upper left workspaces default button here, you can see that there is a little icon here, and we can click on it. And underneath we have several options, and these are different views that we can use within Vizrt Artist that are already set up for us. If you did watch the user interface video, you know that you can drag these windows around, and there are a lot of different configurations and variations you can make with the Vizrt interface. These workspaces give you a quick way to switch between, and there's even a way to manage them. So what we're going to do is switch between these here. Right now we have it set as default, as you can see, and when we switch to the views, it's going to change the complete interface of the software. And you can see in the views here we have our different views of our camera. We have 4 render windows here and essentially the stage open. And if we wanted to go back and say we are now working specifically with our animation and want to use the stage, then we can click on the stage workspace and it exposes the stage for us and rearranges the windows so that we have better access to everything we need within the stage when doing animations. We also have a scripting tab down here, so this will give us a better layout when it comes to adding scripts within our scenes. Now we also have the old 3-X, and if you click on this one, it's going to set it up more like how 3-X was set up. So if you're familiar with that, you can certainly use that one as one. Now at any time, if you don't want a particular window where you want it, you can always drag it around. So we are in the 3X mode now, and if we want to drag this into another area, back up to the workspaces here, we have another option here. It's called Available Docs, and if we roll over this, you can see a check mark next to all of the windows that we currently have active. And anything that doesn't have a check mark is not a currently active window within this scene, but at any time we can make it active. So for instance, we are in the 3X workspace. In this particular workspace, it doesn't expose the font management or the logic maker or the scripts, but if we wanted to, we could certainly turn that on, and there is that window. And furthermore, you could take that window and then drag it into any other part of the interface that you want. And there are different ways to drag these into the place that you want. And as you can see, when we click and start dragging this window, we get these 5 icons here, and if you scroll over this, this will say that it's going to place it in the left plane, or here it's going to place it in the top plane, and you can see when we move our mouse over how the gray area is highlighting here, so it's going to show you where it's going to place it. And as we roll over each icon here, that's the place where it will drop. So if we want it there, we could certainly drop it there. If we want to take it out and we don't want it there, we could have a standalone window and just drag it right into another area, or if you just drag it out, you can just have it as its own window by itself as a standalone detached window. So I'm going to close that one. We're going to jump back into our workspaces. Now we're going to come down to render views, and render views are additional views or windows that can be created in conjunction with your adaptive scene design. So it allows you to design and create graphics in more than one format at a time. And they can also be used to show different camera shots and 3 dimensions in various scenes. So if you do want to add a render view, there is a add render view right here, and you can just click on that button and you can add your render view. And then when you come back into your render view, you have an additional render view here that you can look at or build your scene in. If anytime you want to get rid of a render view, it appears here, and there is a little trash can which you can just click on, and then the next time that you come into your render view, that particular render view is gone. Now there's a restore workspaces, so if you can click on that, it's going to restore it back to the previous workspace. There's also a revert workspace, and it gives you a little prompt before defaulting back to the default workspace. So we hit yes, and now we're back on the default workspace. And if there's a particular workspace that you really like, let's say you had a window and you dragged it down into this other window and you really like that setting or configuration of how this user interface looks and it works great for you, you can come back into your workspaces and say save workspaces as, and then you give it a new workspace here, and we can say new, and we'll just type in new, and then when we come back into our workspaces, you can see that we have a new workspace here, and you can click on that, and since we already had it set up, it's going to look exactly the same, but had it been different, we would have switched over to that new workspace. And finally, there is a manage workspaces, and it has all of our pre-set up workspaces with default views, stage, scripting, and here's our new one. And if you wanted to delete that custom workspace, you could just come in here. There's a delete custom workspace. You can hit that, and that workspace is now gone. The big thing with these windows is just managing how you want to drag and drop with these icons here. So that's a brief introduction to the workspaces in Vizrt T5.